Hello crafty friends, I'm Lien from Studio Kato and I am so happy to be back with another video for Spellbinders as promised. I really love their new release, even these realistic flowers which aren't usually my style, but still when Spellbinders reached out to me to play with this new release, I jumped at the chance to try them because I love trying new things. It's why I love card making so much. There are so many techniques and styles you can try out. And it just keeps things interesting for me. Now, these are realistic looking flowers. This is the Bird of Paradise flower, which is wild. It looks alien to me, but it's beautiful and bright. The colors are stunning on it. And I thought, because this release is called Painter's Garden, I wanted to give these a very painterly look. And the easiest way I have found to do that is with Distress Spray Stains. Or Distress Stain Sprays, one of the two. I really like these, especially these. I debated long and hard whether I should go for this collection or the Distress Oxide Spray collection, and because I love that watercolor look, I really wanted to go for these. You can't really get that with the oxides. They do have a very interesting finish to them. It's just not really for me. And these colors are definitely more vibrant. I got these sprays for Christmas as a beautiful Christmas gift. Not all of the colors, obviously, but plenty to play with, and I love them. What I do usually is, well, usually I've only been playing with these for a little bit, but what I did for this project is I used one or two shades of each color family. For the orange, I used a light orange and a deeper red, and I add a little bit of water, but I don't try to cover the entire image or the entire die cut with spray necessarily. I like to leave a little bit of white to, again, get that painterly look. Now, it is easy to overspray with these, so the die cuts get really wet and they take ages to dry. Even if they look dry, don't be fooled. The ink is still going to rub off on your fingers, and it is a stain spray. They do stain your fingers as well. They're really hard to clean off. But I like inky fingers. It's part of my personality at this point. So yeah, I don't mind that. I do have a little box to spray these in because otherwise it's going to get all over my desk, and I usually have a laptop standing by to watch some TV shows on, so I don't want the sprays to get on that. So I have a cardboard box. Inside of it I have a very old towel that I've been using in my craft room for ages, so it was already stained before I used these sprays on it. And when I get a little bit too much water or too much spray on these, I just dab it away with the corner of that towel. For that one leafy bit of the flower, I have masked off one part because that's supposed to be orange, and I am going to mask off the other part now and do the orange. So you can mask off with the sprays. It's not 100% effective. The spray does get under the tape sometimes, but again, it's a painterly look. It doesn't have to be perfect. If you get a little bit of splatter somewhere it's not supposed to be, it's just going to look more artsy. For my background, I am going to use an embossing folder. This is the Radiant Burst embossing folder by Spellbinders. It's not a new folder by any means, but I love it. It's one of those folders I use over and over again. It's a really basic background, but because there is that burst of stripes, it's really good to draw the eye to your focal point. This is not a 3D embossing folder, but still I have wet my paper a little bit with a baby wipe because I just feel like it gives a nicer impression that way. You don't have to do this for 2D embossing folder. Your paper is not going to crack with those. I just think it gives a better impression. Now here's where this card went a little wrong. I just made a couple of mistakes. One was I glued this down wonky. Not usually a big deal, but it was very, very wonky. So I peeled it off. I was still able to peel it off even though I adhered it with foam tape. Then I started assembling the flower, but I didn't love how plain the background was. Now, I am not going to try to explain how to assemble this flower because I don't know any of the part names of this flower. There are petals, there are stems, there are leaves, and then there are some things in between that I don't know the name of. But Susan, the designer of these dies, definitely knows, and she also has videos explaining how to put all of these new realistic flowers together. I did curve the leaves a little bit. It's really easy to do with this watercolor cardstock. So I just curved it around my fingers or around a craft pick. You can use any small tools for that. And just glued all the parts together, put some foam tape on the back of the flower where I could. But honestly, it's not adhered down super well. I mean, it's gonna go through mail fine, but it's not adhered on every single petal. Now, to make this background a little less plain, I'm going to add some black splatter. And I very happily didn't adhere my flower down yet, but I didn't want any splatter on the white edges of my card, so I slipped on some pieces of scrap cardstock on the sides there to cover my card base, splattered on some black acrylic paint. I watered it down a little bit, and then I can adhere down my bird of paradise flower. If you see me being very gingerly around that paint, that is because it's not dry at this point. I just started adhering things down onto wet paint because I have no patience. I am also propping these leaves up on some foam tape as well. Now, this flower looks a little convoluted, but it is, I promise, very easy to assemble. Again, I will link to the instructional video from Susan in the description below, but also the die set actually has little indents on each die, so to tell you which or how many times you have to cut each piece out. I think for the leaves it says twice. I just did it once, and for the petals it says 3 times. I did that. I didn't assemble it quite correctly, but it looks fine and exotic to me, so it's perfect. Now, I think this is a very unusual flower and maybe not one you want to immediately go out and buy, but I really, really like it. Because it's so special, and it goes perfectly with the sentiment I foiled on the inside. This is also a new Glimmer sentiment set by Spellbinders. Inside cards, Glimmer sentiments, and this one says, "I hope your day is as special as you are," which is perfect for that special flower as well. I also love how bright this flower is. It's just so easy and quick to do with the sprays. The drying time, honestly, I hit it with my heat gun, every single piece, while I was painting it or spraying it, but that took a lot longer than adding the sprays. So if you just leave those out to dry overnight, you can get this painted in 5 minutes or less. I really love trying out these dies. I had a lot of fun trying something new, and I hope you liked the video as well. Thank you so much for watching. You can find all the product links in the description below, and don't forget to subscribe to see my next video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.